Hi, welcome back to the Russian podcast. Today I have a guest with me, Jordan. How are we doing?
Hello, how are you doing?
Not bad, thank you. So you've got a film, haven't you? Nothing called Nothing Goes. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
So yeah, Nothing Goes is kind of like a coming of age story, which kind of switches genre halfway through the film. It turns into it goes like completely, it's like a horror film, I guess, an exploitative flick. But you kind of don't see it coming. It's meant to be like a blend of like Skins, kind of mixed with like the aesthetic of like Spring Breakers and stuff. So it's meant to be highly phonetic and uses drum and bass, and yeah, there's a lot of duality within the narrative itself. So duality of both narratives, the genres, and then also the music. So you got the drum and bass, and you got the really calm cinematic stuff. And then yeah, like I said, the acting as well. Two sides to each character.
Okay, so it's set in and around Sheffield, isn't it? Which is that's sort of your neck of the woods.
Yeah. I live in Dronfield, so it's Sheffield's literally just the next like town over. A city. And basically, I was doing my MA there, so I was going in and out of Sheffield constantly. And obviously, living in Dronfield, I always go to Sheffield anyway. So yeah, I just kind of like all these little cultural things and like these things that you see if you're a uni student there. So even if you're not from Sheffield, but you're a uni student that's gone there, you're going to probably pick up all these different things in these different areas.
Yeah, I noticed when watching it, there's like, oh yeah, I know that place. Oh yeah, there's a train station, or it's that. But yeah, you didn't just film in Sheffield, did you? Like you went to the coast. Now, unless the sea levels have risen and haven't noticed, Sheffield doesn't have a coast,
Yeah,
does it?
yeah, no, no, no. It's Grimsby. That's where it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were looking for specifically. I was looking for wind turbines, and I wanted like wind turbines in the background and stuff. And we just couldn't find any anywhere. And in Grimsby was the only place that we could get a boat to go out, and it was like a fishing commercial boat because in the scene they got some money, and I wanted them to see like, oh, they're going to spend a bit of money. You're going to want something that's a bit more out of the ordinary. It's like a boat ride. Features in the montage. It's only really quick, but it looks really good. And then we kind of stumbled upon it because it's actually the locations in a like a caravan site, but like in the middle of nowhere. So you have to drive through the caravan site and get to like this private beach. And then essentially, council said we could film there, couldn't set fires there and stuff. Because obviously in the scene where it features, yeah, there's like a little fire that was actually done in the back garden, just kind of used trickery to kind of do that. But yeah, Grimsby, and it's just got fortunate that the wind turbines were actually in the background. But yeah, kind of inspired by a music video by an artist called Echo 2K. Um, and then yeah, I just like these aesthetics. And it was just basically a collage of aesthetics that I really liked for the film that I could use for the film. So yeah,
Okay. So th this was like it was a correct me if I'm wrong, but a self-funded film.
yeah.
Uh,
I had budget was about 4K, production budget, and I'd say music was the thing that probably cost a little bit more, but that was post production. So in total, I was probably spent about 5K, and that's including the festivals that I've sent it to so far. So yeah, self funded. I had yeah, 4K, and then I already bought some stuff beforehand. But yeah, that's yeah.
I guess you had stuff from previous ones because you've done like another feature before this, and you've done like a handful of shorts as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so everything's been self-funded. I've never had anything like other than Touch of Vengeance did have a crowd fund. We were able to raise 800 for the project, which was great. But yeah, this is my most ambitious project financially. It was probably double the budget of a Touch of Vengeance, which was around about 2,500. That's including with the self-funding. So yeah, and so I decided to Touch of Vengeance was a little bit too ambitious, like on scale. It still works, but I was like, oh, I could make something a bit more tidier, a bit more more a little kind of traditional, but with a like filming wise, not like narrative necessarily, because obviously this is subgenre, like it's got two different genres within it, um, which I'd say is like atypical. Like it's not normally people that are buying films prefer genre focused stuff. It's easy to advertise. It's easy to attract an audience. So for this film, I specifically went into the younger demographic, young teen drama. I feel like the surprise and the twist pretty good. And I've been going to different colleges and universities just to show off the film, and the reception seems like it's a good reception so far. So nothing super bad about it. But yeah,
Oh, that's good. Just pivoting to the story as well. It's yeah, we follow a guy who is uni student and he's like, having money troubles and like his birthday and he goes off and he has his girlfriend as well, but then girlfriend's brother gets into a bit of bother.
well, yeah, I'd say it's more like yeah, it's more like her his girlfriend's best friend or whatever, Peach, is kind of like they might be seeing each other. You don't necessarily know on the side, and kind of he gets roped into like robbing the place as well, and then he not necessarily wants he doesn't necessarily want to do the robbery, but kind of like does it anyway, and then that leads to obviously a road trip and stuff, and then kind of gets ditched. But like it's meant to be only through dialogue, so you only hear all these conversations through dialogue. So there's a bit of so it's kind of like passing comments. You never leave the character though of Alex though, so it's kind of like you only know as much as him, other than the scene where we cut to these Kurdish gangsters talking just before they pull up and they're talking about Stalker and Annihilation, and it's kind of like this film so you know talk where people always argue, oh, Annihilation's just a remake of Stalker for like modern times. But that's the only time we ever cut away. But yeah, it's kind of like before it goes south, that's kind of the narrative up today. It's just like a coming of age. It's got a bit of heist, genre in it, but it's trying to be really poppy and colourful. And then yeah, did that by using a diffusion filter on the front, and just to make everything really bright and colourful. And then when it was colour grading, it was just meant to be try to do it like really colourful and stuff.
So I got that wrong, didn't I? They're not
Yeah,
brother and sister, are they?
no.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry. I looked at the trailer and I thought they look so similar. I just assumed
yeah.
just assumed that. But
There's no like kissing scene or anything. The only scene where you can kind of maybe not is when they're arguing at the petrol station, and he's proper like ragging her. But yeah, so that's a
mm,
bit.
it's that plausible deniability.
Yeah.
That. Mm. So during the Robin scene, I don't know. I've been meaning to ask you about this. The shots where we have like almost like the camera is fixed to them
Yeah.
as they're running around. So you get them like from in front and from behind. How do you do that?
Well, I had this piece of plywood, and then I drilled a like a light stand to it, essentially creating a snorri rig because I was looking at the snorri rig cost, and you can buy like an Amazon one for like 300, but to rent one out is actually about 1,000. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But with some ratchets and if you drill everything together, you can make it for about I think I made it for about 80 at the time because the plywood
Ooh.
was free, and then literally the straps are. But the only problem you have is your camera weight. You want to strip that down. So we used a 10mm, 10 to 18mm, and then we just took off all the rig for the Black Magics, and it was kind of still heavy, but not super heavy. If you have the 4K, it's probably a bit better. But yeah, I ended up building that for 80, and it was just a bit of a pain to strap on. But once you've got it, it's really good. And the only thing I was really doing for that scene was kind of had to cut around the shadows a little bit. Didn't have obviously loads control of the light, and in that scene, it was meant to be depicted at night time, which I think it does. But the shutters were down, and essentially it was pure daylight, so it's like I couldn't have the wind, the shutters up and stuff. And we had about 4 hours to shoot in there, so it was really tight to like get everything done. And we've got like shattered glass and all these other stuff. But yeah, the story cam's really good. I feel like I was able to edit it so it doesn't feel like out of place either. Because sometimes people who use a story cam, it kind of seems like really obvious, when they use it.
Mm.
Seeing a lot of music videos and stuff. But yeah, again, that's like an inspiration from the music genre that I listen to. They always use like snorri cams, stuff that's like I'd say a bit more creative than your standard, stereotypical shot, reverse shot, wide, master and all that. But just trying to be a bit more fun because obviously it's a bit montage. I can get away with that. But yeah, that was how I made it. Sorry if I went off on a tangent
No,
there.
no, no. I like it.
Yeah,
Like, it came across that like it was in a state of anxiety, so you got that heightened reality that like if you're deviating from the standard, like say the standard shot versus shot, that stands out more.
yeah,
If you pick your moments there.
I did want to shoot things on zooms as well, so there's a few shots there in zooms. But yeah, if that didn't work, the Steadicam didn't work, I probably that scene probably would have been all on like a zoom and you're like looking in instead of it being like close ups and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I'm glad you like that shot. So
Oh yeah.
but yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Oh, I mean to ask that because I remember seeing some BTS stuff. It's like what they're doing there.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a photo. I've literally got it in the back. I've made a modification where I've just drilled through the center because the problem with the light stand stuff, it kind of if you do too much movement, obviously it's meant to be for your wall, so it'll like move like this. And so I've just drilled a hole through the middle, put like a massive bolt just to make it a bit more secure. So when you've got the body rig on, it's really secure now. And I've put some safety harnesses on, for lights. Normally you have them what you call them, little hoops, and you like hook them in. And it's just for lights, when you put them on C stands. But I've attached that now, so you can attach it to your camera. But yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Ah, all right. How long did production take?
15-day shoot. Um, yeah, it was beginning of January, so I think maybe might start on the 4th of January or something. But yeah, it was 15 days, and probably like maybe one or two for me getting like night shot time shots, sunrises and stuff like that. Extra, but yeah, I'd say 15 days with the whole cast and crew. Aiden came down from Oxfordshire, and obviously the others are really local. They're Sheffield based, so that was just quite easy. Them two met up and then would drive to locations wherever we needed to be. So we only shot obviously in Dronfield, mainly Dronfield, a lot of the Peak District, one shot in Grimsby, and then quite a bit in Sheffield. But probably 3 days in Sheffield, not loads. But yeah.
Okay, so out of those 15 days, what was the easiest day and what was the hardest day?
Easiest day was it was the scene where Alex cries. It was like an extra day we added on to production, but like it was probably the fourth day in. And yeah, from a shooting perspective, that was the easiest day. The actual easiest day would be like shooting, but like it was still busy. Was probably the coffin scene. When because Alex actually wasn't there, so it was only pressure on like the extras and stuff, and it wasn't that difficult to film. But like we had to obviously dig the coffin, the hole out. But yeah, that scene was really fun. Um, yeah. Sorry, what was the second question?
So what was the hardest?
The hardest day was definitely the coffin scene. We were there. I didn't think it was going to take so long because in my head I was like, oh, I've got it for half an hour. It's going to be really quick. We had the it was a studio. Sheffield Hallam had like a studio space, and it just ended up being like 8 hours of sitting there getting all the shots and everything, and it still ended up being quicker than I imagined originally. Um, but I still think it feels like claustrophobic and stuff. I just imagined some of the shots would be a lot longer. But obviously, in the editing process, I was speeding things up and making things like really tight. So, like, my main concern for the editing process was the pacing. But yeah, that was the hardest day, the coffin scene. I'd say Aiden would probably say the same to that as well.
Hmm.
Obviously, being in
Oh.
that coffin for 8 hours is crazy. But we did have breaks and stuff, but just
Oh
yeah, once
yeah,
that
not 8 hours straight. And
yeah, yeah.
so was it a coffin that was on five sides, but you had like one gap on the side to put your camera in?
Yeah, so originally we built like an extra thing so we could take off each side and it just didn't work. So then we just built it, yeah, like exactly like that. So there was one hole, one section that you could go in and out. And essentially we just filmed on an 18 to 35 millimeter. I shot like the entire film on the Sigma art photography art lens. So yeah, if I needed some stuff to be slightly wider, I switched that 10 to 18 millimeter Canon one. And yeah, I think the only other shot you get from that is when the lid's up, but it kind of looks like it as if we're shooting from the roof, which is at the end when it starts screaming, should I say? But yeah, one side was basically just a hole.
Okay. So you mentioned like inspiration from like skins and that, but did you have any other inspiration?
Um, Coffin scene. I looked at a lot behind the scenes of Buried, which has got Ryan Reynolds in it. It's a really good film. All just takes place in a coffin for the entire film. It's like 90 minutes, and it's super interesting. It's like whoa, like I don't know how they did that. But really, the only inspirations I had, narratively speaking, it was not really narratively. It's like aesthetic, visuals. So like the narrative was really just I wanted to do a heist film that just goes completely south, and you don't expect anything that comes on. there wasn't really anything that I'd watched which really inspired that. Probably maybe like exploitative flicks. I probably ended up watching an exploitative flick on the, yeah, that's a really cool premise kind of thing. But really aesthetically, so it was Spring Breakers, Harmony Korine, the Gasper Nose cinematographer works on Spring Breakers, Enter the Void, and Irreversible, and just capturing all these like poppy, colorful scenes. And I kind of just like that aesthetic, and then mixing that with like the music videos that I've been listening to, a lot of Echo 2K, Blade. These are Swedish rappers, half Swedish, half English rappers, and they just have really interesting music videos. Like they're a little bit like not too clean, like not Netflixy or Amazony, where it's like, oh, everything's perfectly clean and plastic and feels like devolve of soul and stuff. So just wanted a bit, a bit more edge to it, grain, like Mandy, for instance, lean into the grain and stuff. Don't try to make something too clean. Because people are going to be more bothered about the narrative more so than the visuals.
Mm.
So I was just going for something that was going to be colourful and stand out, hopefully visually, from like everything that's super clean. So that's what I just didn't want. So I was in my head, I was like, I just don't want stuff that's really clean. I want stuff to be like a little bit dirty, but like it's still interesting.
Some scenes look like they were shot on like 16 mil, where you had
Yeah,
that sort of like grainy, like you say, exploitation films back then. They would have been shot on 16 mil, so it had that sort of feel to it.
yeah. I made sure to add like extra grain if some scenes were too clean. Unless it was like something that you necessarily wanted, but then still you still got like a little bit of grain. And but I used zoomed in 35 millimeters, so it's probably close to 16 millimeter grain anyway. So yeah,
Okay, and you had so many colors in this film. Like you had that part of scene had a lot of reds, a lot of turquoises, and throughout that whole film. Which, in contrast to your previous film, having no colors.
yeah, black and white, completely different. Yeah, so I was like, I don't want to do the same stuff. And obviously this time I was more focused. I'd say, yeah, on the visual. I was more bothered about how the filmmaking side was going to be. I wanted it to be make sure like I had a lot longer to shoot A Touch of Vengeance. I think I had 25 days, and it was like I can make this a lot quicker if I strip things down and make it more precise. And like Touch of Vengeance, I didn't have a shot list, whereas this one I made sure to have a shot list. So everything was like to the shot list, and that means we in certain locations we could shoot within 3 or 4 hours, which normally traditionally you probably need a few days to actually shoot. Which is not saying that, oh, if I had the extra days, I'd take the extra days, but it's just because
Mm.
I only had like a small budget, and obviously Aiden come from Oxfordshire, and we only had obviously a limited amount. It was kind of like we need to get this done today. We haven't got an extra day, kind of thing.
So
So
you
it's
had
just
your hard limit. We have to be done by this.
yeah. And then, but if we get done early, we get extra shots. So
Mm.
yeah, that was the only benefit to shooting like this. But yeah, trying to shoot a little bit more commercially. Like this is what it's going to be like. So hopefully building up to this next feature, which would be like the most ambitious thing I do, where it's kind of like if there's a lot more people doing it. Again, this was a bare bones crew, but I did do a short called Catch, and then that was a lot more people involved, and it like things got done quicker, but at the same time didn't. So like setup times and stuff was really like it wasn't irritating, but it's kind of like, oh, if it was just me, I could set this up so quick and just get it over and done with. But then again, you're not got that quality control. So
Mm.
it's you kind of just the only person you can blame is yourself when you're shooting it yourself. But when you've got more people involved, it's like easier and there's like new ideas. But the thing is, it is the setup times. You do need that a little bit more time, and you probably got experience from this if you've worked with bigger crews and like you've worked on shorts and stuff, so you totally know that. Where it's just yeah, it just takes a little bit longer when you've got more people. So yeah, I was just trying to see where I can cut corners, and I was working with a really good first AC called Ewan. Yeah, Ewan, he's really good, and yeah, he ended up just whenever I needed the suit, he was basically already there, so had it already set up and stuff, and because we used a fly rig essentially, um, so we get all the handheld stuff. Obviously, the weight of the rig was going to be ridiculous, so yeah, he was setting that up and focus pulling. He would sometimes do the focus pulling, and other times it'd just be me if we had to get the shots really quick. Um, but yeah, sorry if I got gone off
No,
this.
no, no.
Yeah.
I like that. So would you say that uh having those hard limits, having those restrictions, be it like time, money, or place or whatever, yada yada yada, does that influence creativity or does it hamper it?
It's kind of like it's like a swings and roundabouts type of thing. It's kind of like it does help you become more creative because you're under pressure and you've got to get stuff done. If you don't, you're not going to get it done. So it kind of forces you to think out of the box, I'd say. But at the same time, it can limit your ability to do things. Like, for instance, it's not like I was going to get the best drone shots in the world because I'm limited on budget, and equipment and stuff. Um, and we only ended up, I had to like, because it's like a certain drone, I only could use drone shots within VHS footage. So like only the intro could use the drone. We shot loads of drone stuff. It just didn't match up because I didn't have that quality control, like I was saying. Whereas like the other sides where it's like, oh, I want to, so now it's just me and I want to make the film really poppy and I wanted to make it attractive so people want to watch it. Therefore I had to think outside the box and now I need diffusion filters and stuff that I can do by myself. But I'd say yeah, the film still wouldn't be possible without the help of everyone else because the times for setup times and stuff would have been a lot longer if I didn't have like the first AC or second AC or like Clapper or like Jess Westbury who was like Clapper and stuff for a lot like half the shoot. So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's that thing that the old saying, too many cooks, but at the same time, if you need to make a banquet, you,
You're gonna need
you
that many. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I guess so certain scenes, certain shoots you get like fewer people in because like you're in a small environment or there's a lot of travel time. Uh, how many? What were the most people you had on set in one day?
Uh, it might be there's two scenes. It could be probably the party scene. Um, but it could also be we did have quite a few people on the beach scene as well because obviously we went to the water. It was January and it probably doesn't look like January, but it was like snow like on the beach as well and like ice.
Oh,
So we had to go in this freezing water. So we had people there, with towels and stuff. But yeah, the party scene or the cinema scene, because even though you don't see a lot of extras there, there is loads of extras that were in the room. So I went to Chesterfield College, managed to get a lot of extras. But the film and that scene ended up being really like tight and intimate between the two characters because it's their first introduction. But we did shoot some wide versions of that. There's quite a lot of extras in that scene. But yeah, maybe the party scene. I don't know how many people we had, maybe 20, maybe just under 20. That's including crew. And
right.
we got some of the crew actually were in that scene as well, just to make it a bit more energetic.
Were you in there?
Um, oh yeah, I got my head
Yeah.
shaved.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that. It's like,
Um,
wait. Oh, there we go.
there's only one reason I wanted my head shaved. I was like, what is the thing that you're gonna see in the party scene when people are being stupid and doing stupid things, kind of like getting their head shaved or some kind of like drawing on the face. And yeah, originally as well, after the robbery scene, Alex was meant to shave his hair, and then the two other characters, Alexi and Peach, they were meant to dye their hair. But obviously that never came into fruition. So I was like, you know what, I'm still want this scene, so I'm just gonna do it myself.
That's commitment. All right there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I look terrible after, like really bold. So
Especially if it's January, it'd be cold.
yeah, it's freezing. I just had that woolly hat on. You probably seen in the behind the scenes. I just had this woolly hat on the entire time. Thank God for my beard.
No, I don't blame you. So, did production just happen in January, or was it like over many weeks?
No, it was yeah, just January, 15 days, and yeah, but the editing obviously was a lot longer than that. So
Mm,
I probably waited. I really couldn't start editing a lot of the scenes until I had the music. So a lot of stuff's done to the music, so like the montages and stuff. But everything else, the conversations, I got done pretty quick. If the music was getting made maybe a bit earlier, so this is like something for me to keep consciously in mind for the next project, I could probably get the editing and production done within 3 or 4 months. That's including Foley and stuff. But then again, this is a 52-minute film and two scenes got cut, so it's kind of like yeah. But yeah, don't know why I'm going off with that, but yeah.
no. Oh, good. Oh, good. That. So, well, just going to the writing process. Did this film turn out the way that you originally thought about it when writing it?
Yeah, yeah. I think the only scenes that got cut was more when Alex gets captured at the very end. He's meant to be like in a car scene, and he's got his bag over his head. He kind of wakes up after getting hit with the bat. He's looking around, and he kind of hears the conversation, and it's just a bunch of like extra scenes, but they just weren't necessary. That's the only thing that got dropped. But yeah, the writing process, it's kind of like because it was more aesthetic. That's what I was going for. I wanted something visually interesting. I wanted narrative to be really as strong as it possibly could be, but I was like the visuals need to look mainly like there needs to be all these locations, all these different things. It's got to be constantly interesting. If it's not interesting, no one's going to want to watch it. And it's not. And I'm being conscious about like I've not got the marketing budget. I've not got the the cast I can get. So I've got to be it's got to be strategically thinking about it. So I'm coming from because if I want to do future films, they've got to be financially viable. It's going to be impossible to like keep doing it. It's like, oh, I might make a great film, but then if no one sees it, what's the point, kind of thing. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like from the writing process, I was like, just make something that's original, hopefully as original as possible. It's probably been done before, but I just wanted something that has a big twist, and it's like you don't expect it if you've only seen the marketing from one side, and then the visuals, and then so hopefully I've made something that's colourful, kind of feels like like a music video if it's mixing in with the Echo 2Ks type of stuff. Um, and then and then nothing really got dropped, so other than that one scene I mentioned.
Oh, that's good. And the stuff with the handheld cam. What camera was that?
That was a VHS or Sony. I've got it in here somewhere. I just love the aesthetic of analog, like especially VHS. Just yeah, I've got like a few VHS cameras now. I've got a night vision one, flips to night vision. Just done a music video with that one. But yeah, it's a little. I think it's an eight. What it's called? They call them something ID or something. I don't know. But yeah, I wish I could. I'll show you my room. It's a little bit of a mess, but
That's all right.
I've got a bunch of like analog TVs.
Oh,
Yeah, I've just
oh,
got a
good old
bunch of
CRTs.
yeah, a little bit of CRT TVs and hopefully future projects with like all that type of stuff. Yeah, I've got even got the VHS thing already out. I'm just gonna shot a music video for one of the musicians that did some of the sound, drum and bass for the film, Tanking. So that'll be out soon, color live.
Oh, there's seems to be a lot of nostalgia when it comes to that. Is that something that you share, like
Uh, yeah,
VHS?
yeah, definitely. I think it's especially for our generation, it's something which is the older generation is probably going to look over and go like, "Oh, it's just a thing of the time." But because we've been brought up with it, it's definitely something you're gonna see like an explosion of. You've seen it already in the music space, and I think you're just going to see more of it now. That's why analog horror is so popular.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's not just for specifically one genre of film. It's just the aesthetic. So I think they said something that our generation is going to be something that reuses aesthetics or something. I heard some filmmaker talk about it, and it's kind of like, yeah, I think that's kind of true. I feel like people are going to lean into aesthetics like this, unless you're making something Netflixy where it's just too clean and then they have like a terrible filter over like 6 or 7K footage, so it just doesn't have that like feel to it. But yeah, I'd say that's something that's been like a through line throughout all my work so far. Um, yeah, like I did A Touch of Vengeance. The intro is meant to be kind of like, oh, as if you found this film out of the middle of nowhere, and it kind of starts off really glitchy, and then at the end it was like, oh, how did I stumble upon this film? And then I did Where We Lie, that's all analog horror, and then Catch has like the introduction and the titles are all analog, and then yeah, Nothing Goes. I think Veins probably it only has like one scene where there's a little bit of analog, where it's the transition to the demon's world or the deity's world. Um, and then obviously this one where I was like, you know what, I want to use it a bit more. But I feel like I probably could have used that analog a little bit more in this, maybe with scenes. There's a great film called It's All About Lily Choo Choo, Japanese film. It's kind of like coming of age, and it uses that aesthetic like perfectly. It's like when I was watching the film, there was a lot of there was a filmmaker who does like jungle, like the new modern breakcore, and he's called Tokyo Pill. That's his channel, and he kind of just remixes to like early 2000 films. So it's kind of like nostalgia bait with like really like poppy music that you'll hear over the top of it. But that kind of really captures the aesthetic that I really like. But yeah.
So analog horror, like I see bits and pieces of it, admitting not too much into it myself, but what is what's the draw of it? It's not like static image and all of a sudden a face comes up. There's more to it than that, isn't there? Must be.
Yeah, I'd say with analog horror, it's more like it's a slow process. It's like stuff that's creepy, not necessarily scary. and you don't need much to pull it off really, compared to different genres of filmmaking. Because obviously, when using a hybrid, like I'm noticing with horror films, they're shifting to using like anamorphic and stuff, and it's really killing something of horror where it was traditionally shot in 16 by 9 aspect ratio, where
Mm.
it fills the screen and it's kind of creepy. And like the Grudge, like when I'm watching the original Grudge, I'm like, oh, it's shot for like TV, it's creepy. Whereas now everything's going like anamorphic. I'm like, that is just so like it's getting rid of something on the filmmaking side of horror, which is lacking. Um, like the new Evil Dead has it, the new Paranormal Activity has it, and I was watching all these different horror ones, going through a list. It's like all anamorphic, and whereas analog, if there's a but not that's not to say that analog doesn't exist. There's still analog horror out there. You've probably seen that one. Is it Sure Room or something? The one with the door. Kids get trapped in it. It's really slow, and it's these doors keep appearing. It's really really slow. What was it called? But yeah, but the other ones is obviously the back rooms. You've got
Mm.
like the Five Nights at Freddy's like fan films. They like steal the aesthetic of it. And I was expecting to see some more of that, but they obviously use it a little bit in the Five Nights at Freddy's film. Um, but yeah, I feel like you're going to see a wave of like this kind of genre of like horror film, which is more aesthetic based than I say narrative, because it's probably just going to be a plain old horror film, which is like Smile, which is a bit similar to The Ring. It's just like a plain old film, but you know, in a new package kind of thing. But yeah,
Inject a little bit of nostalgia in there as well.
exactly. Yeah.
Like there's almost like a sequence of everyone's nostalgic for 30 years ago,
But
where
this is that
it
is this is what it's going to be in it. This is our nostalgia, you know, the
mm,
analog era. You might see, to be fair, it might be a good thing. You might see a pop, you know, like a boom in like um maybe like physical media again. Hopefully, like I was thinking, why don't
oh
they just
yeah.
sell like DVDs but like on USBs, so you can access it like a
Oh.
DVD file, but it's just on USBs. Like that'd make more sense. And you don't, you know, you could have it as like a DVD, so you have to have the marketing material because everyone likes sometimes physical media like that. But like, there's no excuse to not have, you know, plug that in. If you can bring down the price, you could have something like that, couldn't you?
Yeah, like it's like special features as well. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
something that's uh, on the
Dying.
decline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless they upload it to their official YouTube or whatever, which I mean, yeah, fair enough. Like ease of access, not knocking that, but yeah, a lot of physical media releases is just a bit bare bones, a bit like yeah, you have the film. That's strictly speaking what you pay for, but
Well, I've heard
anything else?
Paramount's stopped it now, haven't they? Or is it not Paramount? It's another company. I know they're stopping doing physical media. I know Netflix has just stopped their giving out of the DVDs as well. And that was a while back, but it seems like yeah, they're just trying
Mm,
to. You see, they got an incentive to do that though, because if they have a
true,
monopoly on the
yeah.
market, and you don't, and no one has like the means to be able to do it, it's basically just cutting out independent filmmakers, and basically they're the only means in which you can get, um, content. So yeah, just a little problem when you've got monopolization of streaming services and stuff. I
Mm,
know Amazon now are getting more stricter with what they're putting on the platform.
yeah.
So see, Amazon used to be like the big forefront of filmmakers. Like there used to be a process in which they would create the DVDs for you and sell it for you for their website, and they cut that, and
No, no, not having that. No.
it's just ridiculous. I don't know why they're doing that. It's kind of like cutting out. You know, it's kind of like you have to do it. It's going to be a lot more difficult now. It's going to require a lot more money. It's becoming a bit more of more of like a money game. So
Mm. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be that they would only print it if someone ordered it. So
yeah, yeah,
you're not wasting all the storage space
exactly.
or like the environmental impact as well is going to be a lot less. But
It's on demand, and that was such a cool service, and I can't believe I missed that. It kind of
mm,
annoys me a little bit, like, oh, they had this service and it was perfect, and it's like now it's like you have to order a certain minimum amount of units, which is like normally 1,000 or so. Looked into it a little bit. I'm gonna wait until this feature, and then this will be probably next one. Hopefully, if it is the vampire one, that's when I'm gonna hopefully make my own DVDs and maybe move that way if I can. But we'll see.
it must be possible, must be. But
There's obviously still ways to do it, isn't there? But it's
yeah,
just yeah, more
just if
difficult.
yeah, if you just doing that, I guess that would be a lot more well challenging or maybe even just tedious if you're going to do like 1,000. How long will it take you to do that?
Exactly, and then it's per unit the cost of it. So then you're still having to put upfront money, and it's kind of like, yeah. Either way, okay, I know you have to do that. It's
Yeah. Oh
filmmaking
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's just I wish it was a little bit easier on the independent side, as long as the quality's there. I know there is bad quality films that obviously get made, and they want a certain thing, but there should be an easier one where because the thing is, as a filmmaker, is you're fighting to get the audience in some ways, because normally the audience there's two kinds of audience: filmmaking audience and then general audience. And if you want to be a successful filmmaker, technically you have to try to attract the general audience because filmmaking audience is what you're going to see at film festivals and stuff. And it's you could be somewhat successful at film festivals. It doesn't mean that you're going to be super with a general audience. So there's a lot of filmmakers that weren't necessarily financially with a general audience or with a filmmaking audience. And yeah, so you do need. I understand it's like a money game, but still should be a little bit easier.
So, what would you say is the difference between a film that appeals to filmmakers and a film that appeals to normal
General
people?
audience. I'd say filmmaking audience. You could say they'll accept a bit more like artistic. If that makes any sense. What people would say is pretentious and stuff. And the best types of films are ones that hit the middle. Like you can have the general audience that will enjoy it, but then also you have that like artistic side. But yeah, I'd say yeah, there's two types of film watchers, which is the filmmakers, which you'll see at festivals and stuff. Um, unless it's a big festival, you'll get general audience. But like if it's a small festival, normally it's just filmmakers that go to that. And then you've got obviously the general audience. I'll say best filmmakers though are the ones that can get the middle. And there's only a few, maybe Ford Coppola, who did like Godfather, Apocalypse Now, stuff like that. Whereas a more artistic filmmaker would be someone who's not necessarily more artistic. It's just a bit more narratives a bit more subverting. Maybe like Nicholas Winding Refn or Winding Refn. Um,
Yeah.
like his films are a bit more subverted. And then yeah, a more generic filmmaker would be maybe the ones who did the Avengers. That the filmmaking style's not like out of the world and stuff. The brothers, what they're called.
Russo brothers?
Yeah, Russo
Yeah.
brothers. Yeah. So that filmmaking style, like, is really good for like TV and superhero films and stuff because it's not like, and the narratives, I'm not like crapping on them or anything, but it's
Oh
kind of
no.
like, it's just kind of like there's different audiences that are out there, and these filmmakers are filling that gap essentially.
Mm.
So if they weren't there, there'll be someone else there, kind of thing.
I guess it's difficult because, filmmakers are people who make films, and like, if you're a filmmaker, how do you know it's going to be something that appeals to someone else who doesn't really know how the sausage is made,
Yeah,
and it's almost difficult like looking outside of yourself. That yeah, that I don't know, like I don't know, I find it a bit strange, but I
because
guess
you got to try to attract them. That's the problem as well. But
mm,
obviously, this is problem with filmmaking. You can make it from like, oh, this is a passion project. I really want to make this. But then if you're trying to think of it from like oh, I want to make money from this. Well, no, you want to keep it going. Like you want to make more films, let's say. Um, then you've got to treat it a little bit differently. And especially if you're doing it as an independent artist, because you've got to create the advertising, the marketing, you've got to do all that yourself. And it's not like you've got a massive team behind you. So
mm.
it's you can't, it's not like I could just go make the art film that I've been thinking of for years in my head. It's not like I can just go and do that because it might be too much of a risk. And then I want to be able to potentially bring some of that back so I can make, future projects. So yeah, it's all about balancing game. But then maybe one day I'll get to make that crazy art film that I've always wanted to do. But in the meantime, you got to try to make something that's a bit more sustainable.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like a weird tightrope there.
Yeah,
But if you can get everyone in, then hey, that's great.
exactly. Yeah. If you can like was it sustain? Like you get what you want out of it, but then you obviously mix some of the other audience members that you're able, like the film's a little bit more accessible. Let's say the dialogue's a little bit easier to understand
Mm.
than being like a bit too pretentious. That's a sacrifice that you're willing to make, and it still doesn't, it doesn't affect your film too much. Then it's probably worth doing that.
That being said, just run this by you. Like you look at a lot of blockbusters or big franchises that have like released films during this year, and a lot of them have flopped. Like Indiana Jones, Bad of Destiny, that's flopped. Mission Impossible, it didn't flop, but it didn't do as well as they wanted to. But then you got other films that say Spider-Man with uh, with the Spider. Wait, which
Yeah,
one? The animated one.
yeah, number two. Yeah, I know what you're about. Yeah,
Yeah,
across
with
the
that.
Spider Verse, is it? Yeah,
Yeah, across the Spider. Yeah. Then you've got Barbie. Yeah,
Barbie.
1.2
Yeah,
billion,
that's crazy.
which it just seems to be like people wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
Um, so our audience's tastes changing.
Uh, I think it's more like a constant flux. Yeah, they're always changing, but it's kind of like stuff comes back into fashion, stuff doesn't. It's just honestly, I think it's more of like a marketing campaign. For instance, like I didn't see too much of Indiana Jones as a marketing side. I know there was quite a lot, like the trailers and stuff. Um, but yeah, it could be just because it wasn't in fashion at the time. It's kind of like the Last Duel, was it Ridley Scott's thing? It didn't do very
Oh
well in
yeah.
cinema because I didn't see much advertising about it. It could be like an advertising thing, but it could also just be yeah, maybe these films are too much money, because you got the names attached, you've got as soon as you've got names attached, you're dealing with a lot more money, and then again, it might have brought in quite a bit of money, but not like the billions that you're after, and that's where
Mm,
it might be like, oh, maybe cinema's flopping, but it might not be. It still might be bringing in, let's say, 100 million, 200 million, and it's a lot of money still. It's just because the budgets are so inflated, right?
mm.
Um,
They got the marketing budget that they
yeah,
say no, it has to make twice as much or whatever, and then it's like, well, why?
yeah,
Yeah,
you can just
it's
you can definitely make cuts. It's just some areas, and like I did when was doing TV stuff. I was doing I had to do like B-roll for The Outlaws. I believe it was on BBC or whatever, and it was just like they shut down a thing, and it's like some of the people there just didn't have to get paid as much as they were, and they were getting paid like for a lot ridiculous amount, a lot more than I was getting paid to be there, and they were on overtime and stuff, and it's just like you can definitely make cuts, but I feel like how hectic it is to make a film as soon as you imagine a scale like this 100 times as big as yours, it's going to be like, what the hell is going on? I mean, there's moving parts that even the director doesn't know that's going on in the background, and
mm,
kind of just only has a certain amount of say towards that. So as soon as you start getting costumes in, and then makeup's got their own department, and you got the people under the makeup department, I could just never imagine like how stressful that's got to be. Wasn't it Phil
yeah.
Coppler when he was doing Apocalypse Now? Didn't he have a heart attack or something because of all the pressure?
Martin Sheen had a heart attack.
Was it Martin Sheen? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was just
he
yeah.
and Coppola said, "You're not dead until I say you're dead."
That's crazy. Yeah. Have you seen In the Heart of Darkness? That one is the documentary.
I've got the full box set
Yeah, it's
of
just
it.
crazy. Like, he's like on something there. He's like, everything's got to be going on. The helicopter's got to keep going while we're filming. I don't know, crazy. And I can't believe he's doing a is it Metropolitan or something? He sold his whiskey company for like a ridiculous amount, and he's making $100 million film self funded, and
Okay,
it's
wow.
it's nuts. It's got Charlotte Buff. It's got like all these big names, Adam Driver, and it's just going to be a crazy film. I just can't wait to see that.
Apocalypse Now was self-funded.
Was it? Oh yeah, he took in loans out on it, didn't he? And it was
Mm.
sort of like each day he went over, it was like 9 million in debt or something like that, or each time. I don't know, so ridiculous.
Just that for inflation. That's a pretty
Yeah, it'd
penny.
be
That.
ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know how he made the. I don't made a lot of money though. So and it's been made so many times. It's got so many re-release. I don't think this the most re-released film that was Blade Runner, right? 52 versions of Blade Runner or something. The original Blade Runner.
What are you doing next after this?
So I'm doing hopefully a film called All You Do Is Bleed. It's basically a vampire film, but mixed with like Cthulhu. So it takes place it'd be like a small town vampire film essentially. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but yeah, just expect a lot of blood and a few horrors, jump scares and stuff. I'd say it's most similar to a more serious version of Ginger Snaps mixed with like the right ones in. So yeah.
Okay. And where can people find you for updates and that?
So if you want to follow I guess Instagram, Studio Silent, that's the best way to keep on up to date with projects. If you want an individual, like if you want to actually reach out to me, probably my Instagram is probably best, which is at Jordan-Kane Lewis, which is just my full name. But yeah.
Okay. And if you want to watch Nothing Goes, When's it being released?
I don't know. You have to wait till the festivals are done. So maybe the end of next year. But yeah, free to use any of the footage and stuff, that I've got already online. I've got a few clips already online. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Well, follow Jordan for updates and find out when Nothing Goes is released. But in the meantime, you have the trailers and some clips and behind the scenes stuff on your channel. So yeah, check those out. And yeah, see you later. Thanks for
Cheers.
coming on.
Yeah, cheers for having me.